Yes, you guys saw that correct. TNA Total Nonstop Action is back, baby! Hold on, before we continue, I gotta play something. Running through my veins, won't you change me? Yo, who got $40? Come on, come forward. Buy me this shirt for Christmas. But yes, guys, the news is out. The Tron dropped yesterday at the pay-per-view. Impact Wrestling will be rebranding as TNA Total Nonstop Action Wrestling next year in January. I said as much yesterday in my predictions for this show that I was a huge fan of TNA Impact Cross the Line from 2007 and like 2010. This show in essence felt so different from what WWE was putting on 10 years ago. I'm beyond excited to see it back. I'm going to make a video tomorrow about the 5 to 10 things I would either keep, bring back, or make anew for Total Nonstop Action next year. So watch out for that video. Keeping that train going, I was in Chicago for Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory yesterday. It was my first Impact Wrestling pay-per-view, and it blew me away. I don't know about show of the year, but like, it was way better than expected. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. Real quickly, before we go forward, why don't you guys do me a favor, like this video, follow, and subscribe if you have not already for more wrestling content like this. I didn't wink, but whatever. So as most of you may or may not know about me, I am from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which means I operate on East Coast time, which as we all know, EST is the most important time in the entire world. However, for whatever reason, like 100-some years ago, the mids and the west of the United States wanted to be different and have different times of the day. So what happened was, I got to the arena at like 6:30 p.m. Turns out the pre-show already started. Because in my head, the show don't start till 7. Also, they added this to the pre-show, even though it was advertised as a main card show. So I missed this match and I was disappointed. I did come at the very end of the Hall of Fame induction of Tracy Brooks, Mike Tenay, and Don West, which was very nice. Nice to see all three of those people make it into the Hall of Fame. Another critique I want to make, which is about the production of the show, not so much the show like you can see on TV itself. But this show was first come, first serve for seats, and like nobody knew this. They announced it, I missed it. But when I got there, the arena was like already filled up, and I had to scramble to find a seat. So TNA, if you're going to do bigger shows, let's do assigned seating next time, or give us a heads up so that way we can get there earlier. On with the card. The show opened with Chris Sabin defending the X Division Championship against Kenta. I was very excited for this match on paper, but going into it, I had my expectations a bit lower. Chris Sabin was really damn good as a part of Motor City Machine Guns, but I have not seen his work as a singles competitor, so my expectations for him were still pretty, like, you know, mid-level to high. Kenta, however, these days, I feel like depending on the opponent, the match can be a little wishy-washy. He's definitely gotten slower, still a stiff striker, but like, he's not the Kenta he used to be. My sense was this match is either going to be good or mid. And it was good. Kenta laid in them slaps and them kicks and those chops, and Chris Sabin gave them right back. Between the strikes, the corner moves, and the way they would kind of go into sequences, it was giving me very like 2000s Ring of Honor. Which makes sense considering who was involved here. I would love to say Kenta teased the GTS, but after all, he is the one who invented the move, so I can't really say he teased a move that he created. But he did do the little go to sleep as a little shot at CM Punk. It was to no avail though, because Chris Sabin got out of it, they exchanged some counters, Chris Sabin ended out the match with his finishing move, got the pin, and retained the X Division Championship. Because in my opinion, if we're going to go back to the TNA Impact days, then the title should be on somebody who used to be like an X Division champion around that time, which would be Chris Sabin. I'd give this match 3 3/4 out of 5 stars. Good match, nothing too crazy, but you know, a nice little tongue coater to get us into Impact Bound for Glory. We then followed this with a Monsters Ball Fatal 4-Way between PCO, Rhino, Steve Macklin, and Moose. So the whole get of a Monsters Ball match is that they have these 4 men basically caged in pods for 24 hours without food or water and then send them into the match. Impact took it a step further. I love the fact that throughout the day, on Instagram and Twitter, they would post the clips of all 4 men in their pods in the dark with like, you know, the little night vision on and how they were taking it in. PCO screaming, "Oh!" Rhino's pacing back and forth. Moose is doing push-ups, and then Steve Macklin's like taking a nap. Nice tiny detail for somebody who used to be in the military. It just adds to the match. Rhino made his entrance, Steve Macklin knocked him down, then Moose knocked Steve Macklin down, and then PCO came out, and then it was just balls to the walls from that point. People were going through ladders, people were going through thumbtacks and cinder blocks and tables and chairs. Just four big men it's not quite like SummerSlam 2017 or nothing like that. But like the match was fun as hell. PCO's 55 years old and the spots he took in this match were gnarly. If you told me that Darby Allin is the descendant of PCO, I would believe you. Bully Ray came into this match at one point and pushed Steve Maclin onto a table that was wrapped in barbed wire. Cool spot, but I didn't understand why Bully Ray got involved. PCO came out with the window, pinning Moose. I would also give this match 3 3/4 out of 5 stars. At least in the building, this match was a lot of fun to watch. Couldn't ask for a much better match stipulation with 4 guys. The Impact World Tag Team Championships were defended between the Rascals versus ABC. It's been a minute since I've seen Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz in a match together, and they went up against one of Impact's best tag teams, Ace Austin and Chris Bay. Honestly, these were 2 of the best tag teams they may have. I don't know the entire tag team roster, but really damn good match. It wasn't super spotty. There were some cool spots in there, but like it wasn't like over the top as I felt like it was going to be. It kept it very tag team heavy. There were a lot of tag team combinations that I really enjoyed, especially on the end of ABC. The cohesion of the Rascals matched that perfectly. Ace Austin and Chris Bay rounded out the match, hitting their dope-ass tag team finisher to get the win and become the new Impact World Tag Team Champions. Hey, these guys were fire, so I'm all for this. Just shy of 10 minutes, it was a sprint, it was a lot of fun to watch, easily digestible. I would give it 4 stars. It's not going to be a match people are talking about come year's end, but let it be known, these 2 tag teams are it. A match that people will be talking about come year's end, Will Osprey versus Speedball Mike Bailey. This match was the sole reason I flew to Chicago to see this show. In 2017, I stumbled upon a Matt Riddle match where he faced off against a guy named Speedball Mike Bailey. I thought his unique way of intertwining Taekwondo and mat-based wrestling and submissions was just, it's not something I'm seeing today. I fell in love with it and I just followed his career ever since that point. And I've been aware of Will Osprey since that exact same time. He's a very different wrestler than he was in 2017 and even 2019. He's become, in my opinion, one of the greatest wrestlers in the entire world, period. And I knew they faced off at least 4 times before this point, the latest one being last year. But I said no. These are 2 different wrestlers. I want to see them face off now. Without the prior knowledge, without the prior spots, because I know they're going to have a match of the year candidate, and I gotta be there to see it. Not only was I not disappointed, it exceeded my expectations. These guys were trading the loudest chops and the stiffest kicks, hitting moonsaults and shooting stars. And in the final 10 minutes, we got the Osprey epic. Given Speedball Mike Bailey's style of being that hybrid, high flyer, stiff striker, it just meshed perfectly with Will Osprey. And what that brought us was an edge of your seat performance from both of these guys. You know, there's 8 billion people in this world and they all fear something. Some people have a fear of spiders. Some people have a fear of heights. I'm afraid if there's one thing Will Osprey fears in this world is not having a 5-star match. Because what did y'all really expect this to be aside from that? I'm seeing a lot of Will Osprey praise. Y'all just better show my man Mike Bailey some love too. Speedball Mike Bailey was the other half of this match and he put on a classic performance. He has given Impact Wrestling not only their greatest match of this year, but the greatest match of last year as well. So I'm just saying, TNA, he better be the first man in line for that TNA World Championship. And if the rumors are true that Will Osprey is considering going to Impact Wrestling, which is now being rebranded as TNA, what a huge get that will be for them, going into that new rebrand. If I were them, I would lobby as much money as possible to get him to sign. We followed up that match with the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, which is basically Impact's version of the Royal Rumble. 2 men start off in the ring. After 2 minutes, a 3rd person enters, and then every 30-second interval, another competitor enters until the final 2 comes down, which it will end either by pinfall or submission. I feel if you're going to do a Rumble type match, it should be like in the very beginning or towards the end of the show, not in the middle of the card. Especially following Speedball Mike Bailey versus Will Osprey. Because what ended up happening is that there was quite a few people in the audience, including myself, who went to the bathroom or honestly just went to go like take a breath. Because we had like 3 good matches and then 1 fantastic match. Like all that following each other, I needed a chance to take my breath and just like collect myself. Because like too much great wrestling becomes overwhelming after a certain point. And when fans get overwhelmed at a wrestling show, they stop talking, they stop cheering, they stop interacting with the show. Which did happen here to a degree. The crowd did get a bit quiet, but they did come alive for a lot of the pops, which were, you know, the surprise appearances. I mean, you had your Jonathan Gresham, your Brian Myers, your Kenny Kings. Then we had the inclusion of knockouts in this match. Then it clicked to me that Impact Wrestling, unlike other wrestling promotions in the United States, actually does intergender wrestling. Not often, but they do. Jordynne Grace, Giselle Shaw, Kylan King going toe-to-toe with the men in this match. It was really dope to see, and they weren't just like doing all the offense and then that's it. Like, no, they were getting hit. Moves being done to them in this match by the men. But Jordynne Grace, if y'all seen Jordynne Grace, she's massive. I mean, she's more built than, I want to say like 80% of the men on the Impact roster. Kylan King's like 5'10", 5'11", so she can fend for herself, and she's pretty good. Giselle Shaw, I'm new to, but she was really talented as well. You also had the inclusion of surprise entrances in this match, like Juventud Guerrera, Matt Cardona, who had a really big pop, Sonny Kiss, who is signed by Impact now, good on them. And last but not least, Bully Ray. He somehow manages to like sneak his way into like important stuff on Impact TV. Like, I swear, anytime I tune into an Impact show, Bully Ray is somewhere to be seen on the show. And maybe not in like the most major capacity like the main event, but in some present capacity, he's there. I just find it so funny. The final two came down to Jordynne Grace and Bully Ray. And I'm not gonna lie, if Bully Ray would have won that match, I would have been pissed. I know you were a big deal in TNA Impact. I know aces and eights and all, but like, why are you winning this match? He and Jordan went at it for a good 2 minutes until she eliminated him, and she became the winner of the Call Your Gauntlet match. So the whole gimmick of the Call Your Shot Battle Royal is that the winner gets to choose a title shot against whatever champion they want. Mind you, Jordynne Grace is a female, and she won a match where she can choose whatever champion she wants. Mind you, I'm getting excited. I'm getting pumped in the crowd. I'm like, oh my God, I'm thinking about all the possibilities of who she could face. The first thing pops in my mind is like, well, shit. I mean, Tessa Blanchard is a former Impact World Champion. Why not her go after the Impact World Championship? Imagine a crazy headliner for your first TNA Impact branded show than Jordynne Grace versus Alex Shelley. Come on, I would pay to see that. And then she announces that she's going to be challenging the Knockouts World Champion. And then I was like, oh. Okay. It just felt like such a missed opportunity. The stipulation is that you can choose any champion. Any champion. Obviously, the Knockouts Championship is an option, but you can always face the Knockouts Champion. You're a knockout. Could have popped up at the end of Trinity's match and put a challenge out to her, and then she would have said yes, and then you would have had your match. You could have won a #1 contenders match. There's 100 different ways for you to get to that. But there are very, very, very few ways for you to get to the point of facing a male champion for a men's championship. Especially when you had a knockout win the Impact World Championship. Pretty much all but telling us that the Impact World Championship can be contested against a woman. A knockout. So why not go after the world champion? It's not like you're some small, tiny, scrawny little nut. You're Jordynne Grace. Probably bench Alex Shelley on a daily basis. I don't know, bro. Like, I guess it makes the championship feel more important that she could have chose other champions, but she chose that one. I would have rather her going against the grain and chose a male championship. It would have put more eyes on the product that way. The same way Tessa Blanchard did. I'd give this match 3¼ stars. It was pretty decent, nearing good. Hard to rate battle royals, but for, like, I guess Royal Rumble standards, it's on a mid to lesser end. Also a waste of potential with whoever Jordynne Grace could have chosen. Speaking of Knockouts World Championship, the Knockouts World Champion herself defended a title against Mickie James. I am wearing my Mickie James shirt. I got this from the show yesterday. Mickie James is my GOAT. And on top of Mickie James being my GOAT, Mickie James is like a pillar for Impact Knockouts. Like, if we're talking about who's on the Mount Rushmore of Impact Knockouts, for me, it's Gail Kim, Awesome Kong, Mickie James, and collectively the beautiful people. Angelina Love, Velvet Sky, and Madison Rayne. I know it's cheating, but like, you gotta put them all in like at the same time. Like, I don't feel like there is a Angelina Love by herself or Velvet Sky. Like, it's all of them together. Mickie James left WWE in like 2011 and came to Impact Wrestling. It was a big deal. She helped bring a lot of prestige and notoriety to that Knockouts division. 10 years later, the Knockouts are still going strong, Mickie is still going strong, and she's looking to reclaim the championship that she had to relinquish earlier in the year. Trinity is still fairly new to Impact, but she is the Knockouts World Champion, and she's been putting on some good matches from what I hear. This match was very decent. By this time, the crowd had pretty much been exhausted, which is a good thing because that means the first part of your show has been really good, but also kind of like a bad thing because now the crowd is not as hyped. I mean, they weren't sitting on their hands the entire time. I made sure to get a Knockouts Wrestling chant started, and then there was Mickie and Trinity chants. And the wrestling mostly was good. I just felt like there were parts where it felt like they were padding the match down. Like parts where the match kind of just slowed down. It felt like they were just trying to add time onto it. And it's weird because it's like the match in totality was like 12 minutes, but it felt longer. That's kind of the downside of trying to stretch a match out, is that it ends up feeling longer. Especially when like a viewer can tell that it feels like the match is being stretched out, just to say the match is longer. Outside of that, it was compelling action from both women. Trinity got the win, retaining the championship. Trinity is still the new kid on the block to a degree, so her retaining was a good choice. I do wonder how long Mickie James is going to stick around. If there were a time for her to win the title back, I felt like now was the time. If anything, she might start taking a back seat as we go closer to TNA Impact era. I would give this match 3 stars. It was decent. It was okay. A lot left to be desired. The main event was for the Impact World Championship. Alex Shelley defended against Josh Alexander. Alex Shelley in his younger years was a high flyer with stiff strikes and has now kind of become this technically sound wrestler. I love that evolution of him as a wrestler. Josh Alexander, in my opinion, is one of the best wrestlers Impact Wrestling has ever had. In a sense, he's kind of their Kurt Angle, a nice grappler that can throw you around and hit some pretty nasty moves. This match was great on a different level. They were telling a story with Alex Shelley working over Josh Alexander's arm throughout the match. Josh Alexander trying to power through the pain to lock him in these submissions and suplex him to death. It is a slower paced match. It is not Speedball McBailey versus Will Osprey. But if you can appreciate Bryan Danielson matches, you will appreciate this match. Alex Shelley spiked Josh Alexander with the Shell Shock 2 times to get the win and retain the Impact World Championship. It is beautiful to see the Motor City Machine Guns going back to TNA Impact as World and X Division Champion. I love to see it. I would give this match 4.25 out of 5 stars. A great match that showcases both men's strengths. And as you all saw at the very end of the show, we had the announcement of Total Nonstop Action Wrestling making its comeback, with their next pay-per-view, TNA Impact Hard to Kill, being the catalyst for it, happening on January 13th. I've said it in the past, and I will always say it, there is never a better time of the year to really lock in to a wrestling company than January. New Japan with Wrestle Kingdom, WWE with the Royal Rumble, AEW is out the gate with their matches, and now TNA Impact Cross the Line is back. 2024 is off to a beautiful start, and I cannot wait. Overall, I give the show like an 8 out of 10. Most of the matches were good to great. I enjoyed myself overall, and I would deeply consider watching TNA Impact. Not deeply, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna watch that shit. What are your thoughts on the show, and what do you want to see from TNA Impact Crossing Line? Comment down below, let me know. New video coming tomorrow. Talk more soon.